Hello and welcome. I am the Walrus Jedi. In today's video, we will be discussing Bad Batch Season 1. Season 1 had 16 episodes, the first being Aftermath, which started with a Clone Wars intro, which I thought was really cool to see that again. And Order 66 was executed by the clones there on Depa Billaba, who is Caleb Doom or Kanan Jarrus's master from Rebels, if you didn't know. Then the Batch go back to Kamino to find out what happened. They're confused. Tarkin arrives on Kamino, and the Batch are tested. They are sent on a mission to Onderon to eliminate separatists. But what they don't realize is that it's really rebels, led by Saw Gerrera. The Batch don't kill him. They let him live. They go back to Kamino. And they fail. So they leave. But they have to go back for Omega. They're imprisoned. They break out of prison with Omega. Crosshair betrays them. And then they make it out on their ship. Overall, I thought this was probably the best episode of Season 1. The next episode, it's a decent episode, titled Cut and Run. It's nice to see Cut Lawquane again from Clone Wars on Seleucami. Omega in this episode, she has a moment with dirt, which makes sense considering Kamino doesn't have dirt. And she also plays with Cut's kids. And this was a decent episode. The next episode, Replacements, the Bad Batch, they get stuck on a moon. They crash on a moon. This part of the episode I found to be kind of mediocre. But the Crosshair portion of the episode, where he leads a squad of recruited soldiers, they go back to Onderon and basically fulfill that mission, but Saw Gerrera is not there. That part was really good. So I guess if you balance it out, it's a decent episode, a great episode. The next episode, Cornered. The Bad Batch go to Pantora to get supplies, and we find out that the Kaminoans, they want Omega back. So they send a bounty hunter, Fennec Shand, to retrieve Omega. Well, this is another decent episode. Rampage. The Bad Batch start doing jobs for Sid, a Trandoshan, who does not sound like a Trandoshan. Their first mission or job is to get Moochie, which is a baby Rancor for Jabba the Hutt. The Rancor is being held by Zagarian slavers on Ord Mantell, which is actually where Sid is based. Overall, this was an okay episode. The next one, episode 6, Decommissioned, that's another Sid mission, and the Batch let them have the tactical droid data. This is probably the weakest episode of Season 1. The next episode, Battle Scars. After the Batch meet Rex in Sid's parlor, the Bad Batch, they go to Braca to get their chips out. And Wrecker, who had hit his head several times in previous episodes, his chip activates and he wrecks, so to speak. And they manage to get their chips out at the end. It's a happy ending. Yay. Then the next episode, episode 8, Reunion. Still on Braca. The Batch, they get spotted by the Scrappers Guild. And the Scrappers, they call the Empire. And the Empire sends Crosshair and several clone battalions And the batch, they escape through the Venator, which is where they were when they took the chips out. Crosshair chases them throughout the ship. They manage to escape. Crosshair gets burnt by the Venator engine, and all seems well and good, but Cad Bane is at the Bad Batch's ship, and he manages to take out Hunter and take Omega. One of the cool things in this episode is when Hunter gets up from after being shot, we see his HUD view, and it feels like the Republic Commando video game, which I thought was cool. That's a nice touch. And in episode 9, Bounty Lost, Cad Bane takes Omega to a former Kaminoan site. Fennec Shand is there. Her and Cad Bane fight, and in the hustle, Omega is able to escape and call the Bad Batch and ultimately get rescued by the Bad Batch. We find out that Cad Bane was summoned by Lama Su, the Kaminoan Prime Minister. So Lama Su wants Omega for different reasons than Nala Se, I guess. Episode 10, Common Ground. The Batch are once again on a said mission. This time they have to go to Raxus, the former separatist capital, and rescue the senator from imperial imprisonment. They have a little debate about helping separatists and that, but ultimately they do. It's nothing too cool. The next episode, episode 11, Devil's Deal, we're on Ryloth, and this episode follows Hera and Cham Syndulla, and we basically just see kind of Ryloth after Clone Wars, which was pretty cool. You know, Senator Orn Free Taw's there in all his glory, I guess. Him and Cham are still rivals, and it's pretty good. He gets shot in the head and apparently survives, which I find interesting. But overall, the Batch are only in this episode delivering some weapons to Hera's uncle, because he's a freedom fighter, and the Empire took all their weapons away. So, and Omega and Hera, they befriend each other, and at the end of this episode, Cham and Hera's parents are captured by the Empire. And in the next episode, Rescue on Ryloth, Hera calls the Bad Batch to help rescue her parents. And they rescue the parents with the help of Captain Hauser, who's the clone captain there. And he seems to be a pretty good guy, and he helps them escape. His chip seems to not work, or doesn't work anymore. I don't know. Interesting. He gets arrested, so hopefully we'll see more of him in season 2. And episode 13, Infested. The Batch have to save Sid because a former client took over her parlor and is dealing with the Pike Syndicate. I thought this episode was not very good. This was a pretty crappy episode. Unless it leads to Darth Maul because of the Pikes. But I guess we'll see in season 2. Next, War Mantle. The Bad Batch are asked by Rex to go to Darrow and rescue Gregor. Darrow had a Imperial training facility for what are called TK troopers, which are they're basically early stormtroopers, and they're trained by public commandos. And we even potentially see Scorch from the Public Commando video game, so that's cool. They rescue Gregor, but Hunter is captured. And in the next episode, Return to Kamino, episode 15, the Batch, basically they go to Kamino to rescue Hunter. And Kamino is destroyed, which is kind of sad. One cool thing in this episode is we hear the Kamino music from Attack of the Clones. which I thought was a nice touch. Then you have the final episode, episode 16, Camino Lost, where the Bad Batch team up with Hunter, or not Hunter, Crosshair, to escape the ruins. And they manage to escape, and they along the way they meet the droid AZ from the episode, or the arc in the Clone Wars where Fives finds out about Order 66, basically. And the Bad Batch, while they escape, the AZ, he's helping them escape because they gotta basically swim or float in these tubes up to the surface. AZ loses power, and so he starts sinking. Omega, being the kid she is, she has to rescue AZ, so she jumps or opens her pod to rescue AZ, but he's too big, too heavy for her, so she's essentially going to drown. But Crosshair saves her because earlier Omega had saved her, so it's to make them even. So I thought that was foolish, but oh well. Then the Batch, they get up to their ship with Crosshair and that. They have a little chat with Crosshair. Crosshair, for some reason, still wants to go with the Empire, so they leave him there. And that's where the season ends. Overall, I felt that episode 15 and 16 should have been one episode. I thought that would have been better, but it's all right. Overall, the season as a whole would probably be, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely a pretty good start for a show. And then there's definitely room for improvement, but I guess we'll see with season 2. What did you think of Bad Batch season 1? You could tell me in the comments down below. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching.